Then she raised the tablet high. No more chains. With all her strength, she slammed it against the concrete floor. The device shattered, sparks flying, files destroyed in an instant. The warehouse erupted. Some screamed in relief, others in fear of what Silas might do next. Silas roared, struggling against Adrian's grip. You fool! You think that was the only copy? You've doomed them all. But Elena stood taller than she ever had, voice steady. Maybe. Or maybe I just showed them that you're not untouchable. That no one is. The sanctuary's voices swelled again, louder this time, not cheers of celebration, but of defiance. A chorus of people refusing to bow. Silas's mask tilted toward her, the porcelain cracked where Adrian had shoved him. His voice dropped to a hiss. You've made an enemy you can't imagine, Elena. I will burn your world to ash. Adrian shoved him hard, but Silas slipped free, vanishing into the night with the speed of a ghost. The doors slammed behind him. Elena stood among the broken glass and sparks, her breath ragged, her heart burning. She knew he would return. But for the first time, she felt ready. The warehouse still crackled with the smell of burnt circuits and fear. Broken shards of Silas's tablet glittered on the concrete floor, reflecting the shaky lantern light like tiny knives. The sanctuary gathered in tight clusters, some crying, some arguing, some clinging to each other as if afraid they'd vanish if they let go. Elena stood at the center, crimson gown streaked with dust, her breath still uneven. She had struck the first blow, but she knew it wasn't victory. It was survival, barely. Adrian approached, his face hard but proud. You did it. You showed him we won't bend. That matters. Seraphine nodded, though her voice trembled. Yes, but Silas won't stop. He'll come back. And next time, he'll be ready. The weight of their words pressed against Elena's chest. She wanted to feel triumphant, but all she felt was the crushing certainty that the battle had only begun. Then a familiar voice cut through the noise. Elena. She turned. Mia stood in the doorway, her expression shadowed by the lantern glow. She hadn't clapped. She hadn't shouted. She had just watched. Now her voice was quiet, but sharp as glass. Come with me. Right now. The crowd fell silent, as if the air itself understood the gravity of the moment. Elena hesitated, then followed Mia outside. The night air was cool, heavy with the scent of rain. Mia spun on her, eyes blazing. You think you won there? You didn't. You provoked him. You've painted a target on yourself and on everyone else. And I can't watch you destroy yourself like this. Elena's throat tightened. Mia. No, Mia cut her off. This is an ultimatum. Walk away. From Adrian, from Seraphine, from this sanctuary. Come back to me, to safety, to the life you had before. Or stay in this war and lose everything, including me. The words hit harder than Silas's threats ever had. Mia, Elena whispered, her voice breaking. If I walk away, Silas wins. He'll keep hunting them, hunting us. I can't abandon them. Mia's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Then you're abandoning me. The silence between them was unbearable, filled only by the hum of the city in the distance. Finally, Mia stepped back, shaking her head. I can't follow you into this. Not anymore. And with that, she turned and walked into the night, leaving Elena trembling on the warehouse steps. Behind her, Adrian's voice called softly, Elena. We need you. Ahead, Mia's figure disappeared into the darkness. Two paths. Two worlds. And Elena, standing at the crossroads, knew that whichever choice she made, the other would be lost forever. Elena stood frozen on the warehouse steps long after Mia's footsteps faded into the night. The rain began to fall, slow at first, then steady, soaking the crimson gown until it clung to her like a second skin. Behind her, the sanctuary murmured in the dim glow of lanterns. Adrian and Seraphine waited just inside the doors, watching, giving her space, but silently pleading for an answer. Mia's words echoed like thunder. Walk away. Come back to safety. Or lose me. Elena pressed her palms to her face. She wanted both Mia's steady love and the sanctuary's fragile hope. But Silas had forced her into a world where she couldn't have both. Finally, she straightened, rain dripping from her lashes. She turned back toward the warehouse. Adrian's jaw tightened with relief. Seraphine exhaled a shaky breath. "You've chosen," Adrian said quietly. Elena nodded, though her chest ached. "Mia was my anchor. But anchors hold you in place. If I stay tied to her, I can't move forward. And forward is the only way we survive." Her voice wavered, but her eyes burned with resolve. The sanctuary drew her back inside. Members who once looked at her with uncertainty now reached out to touch her hand, her shoulder, whispering thanks. They needed her. And in their need, she found a fragile strength. But even as she accepted their gratitude, grief gnawed at her. Losing Mia wasn't just losing a friend, it was losing the person who had first seen Ethan and Elena as whole. Later that night, when the crowd had dispersed, Adrian found her alone among the lanterns. "You did the right thing," he said. Elena shook her head. "The right thing doesn't feel this hollow." Adrian's expression softened. "It won't always feel this way. Grief fades. Resolve grows. And Silas, he won't stop until we end him." At the sound of Silas's name, Elena's grief hardened into fire. "Then that's what we'll do." She glanced at the shattered remains of the tablet still on the floor. For all she knew, Silas had backups hidden everywhere. He could strike again tomorrow, or next week, or next month. But when he did, she would be ready. Because she was no longer just Ethan hiding in shadows, or Elena dancing in borrowed light. She was both. And both had something worth fighting for. Outside, thunder rolled. Somewhere in the city, Silas was planning his next move. And in the warehouse, Elena vowed she would be ready for him. Days passed in uneasy quiet. The sanctuary kept meeting, though fewer members dared to travel alone. Rumors spread across campus of strange figures watching dorm entrances, of whispers in the library about the masquerade people. Silas was invisible, but his shadow stretched everywhere. Elena tried to hold the group steady, but every time she looked at the empty seat where Mia should have been, her chest tightened. Then, one night, Seraphine burst into the warehouse, pale and shaking. "He's made his move." The room went silent. Seraphine's voice trembled. "It's not us. Not yet. It's Mia." Elena froze, the blood draining from her face. "What about Mia?" Adrian cursed under his breath. "Tell us." Seraphine held up her phone. On the screen was a campus forum post, already gathering comments, a blurry photo of Mia walking with Elena outside the Rosewood Mall, weeks ago. The caption read, "Some people aren't who you think they are." The comments underneath were filled with speculation, cruelty, suspicion. And Mia's name was attached to it all. Elena's knees weakened. Silas hadn't gone after her directly, he'd gone after the person she loved most. Adrian slammed a fist against the wall. "He's baiting you. He knows you'll run straight to her. That's how he drags you into his trap." But Elena was already moving. "I can't leave her out there alone." She didn't ask for this. Seraphine grabbed her wrist. "If you go, Silas wins." That's exactly what he wants. Elena ripped her hand free, her voice breaking. "Then let him win, because I'm not abandoning her." She sprinted into the night, the rain beginning to fall again, each drop sharp against her skin. The city blurred around her, fear and fury propelling her faster. When she reached Mia's apartment building, she found the stairwell door propped open. Inside, the lights flickered, and her stomach twisted with dread. "Mia," she shouted, her voice echoing off the concrete walls. A muffled sound came from above, a struggle, a cry. Elena bolted up the stairs 2 at a time. At the landing, she froze. Mia stood pressed against the wall, her arms pinned by one of Silas's masked followers. And at the top of the stairs, half in shadow, Silas himself watched with unnerving calm. "Welcome, Elena," he said softly, almost kindly. "I knew you'd come. You always do." Elena's heart pounded, her gown heavy with rain. This time, Silas wasn't threatening secrets. He was threatening lives. And she had no idea how to win. The stairwell was a cage of concrete and echoes. Rain drummed against the narrow windows, muffling the thud of Elena's heartbeat. Mia's eyes widened as she saw her. "Elena, don't." The masked follower tightened his grip on her, and Silas raised a gloved hand, commanding silence. His porcelain mask gleamed in the flickering light, cracked but unbroken. "You've grown bold," Silas said smoothly. "Breaking my tablet, defying me in front of your sanctuary. But boldness comes at a price." Elena forced her voice steady. "Let her go, Silas. This isn't about Mia. It's about me." He tilted his head. "On the contrary, it has always been about you. She is simply leverage." Adrian's warning echoed in her mind. "He'll bait you. Don't play his game." But this wasn't a game anymore. Mia's terrified face told her that. Elena stepped forward. "You want me? Fine. Take me. But if you hurt her, I swear you'll regret it." Silas chuckled, the sound hollow in the stairwell. "Regret is for the weak. I deal in outcomes. And right now, I see two paths. Either you step into the role I've carved for you, my voice, my mask of trust, or I break her, and you both shatter together." Mia's voice cracked. "Don't give him anything, Elena. Please." Tears burned Elena's eyes, but she stood taller. "You think you hold all the cards. But you don't. You need me alive, and you need the sanctuary believing I'm yours. If you hurt her, they'll never follow me or you." Silas paused. His silence was more dangerous than his threats. Elena pressed harder, her voice ringing with defiance. "So here's my bargain. You let her go right now in front of me. Prove you can control yourself instead of hiding behind fear. If you don't, then everyone will see the truth, that you're nothing but a tyrant with no followers left." The masked follower holding Mia shifted uneasily, as if even he doubted. Silas's mask turned toward him, then back to Elena. Finally, with a sharp gesture, he ordered Mia released. Mia stumbled forward into Elena's arms. Relief surged through her, but she didn't let her guard down. "Impressive," Silas said, his voice clipped. "You've learned to play the board. But remember, checkmate is inevitable. And when it comes, it will not be in your favor." He stepped back into the shadows, his followers melting away with him. Within moments, the stairwell was empty except for the sound of rain. Elena clutched Mia tightly. Her whole body shook, but her voice was steady. "He won't stop. Not until one of us is gone." Mia pulled back, her eyes wet with fear and anger. "Then you need to make sure it's him. Because if he takes you, Elena, he takes me too." By the time Elena and Mia returned to the warehouse, the sanctuary was already waiting. Lanterns burned low, casting long shadows across the anxious faces. Adrian rose the moment he saw them, his fists tightening at the sight of Mia's shaken state. "What happened?" he demanded. Elena's voice was hoarse, but steady. "Silas had her. Used her as bait. But I forced him to let her go." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Seraphine clutched her shawl tighter, whispering, "He's escalating. It won't be threats anymore, it'll be war." Elena eased Mia into a chair. The silence in the room pressed like a weight. Everyone was waiting for her to speak, to give direction. She took a deep breath. "We can't keep reacting. Every time Silas makes a move, we scramble. That has to end. If we want to survive, we have to strike first." Adrian nodded, fierce approval in his eyes. "I've been saying this since the start. We don't hide from tyrants, we crush them." But Seraphine looked stricken. "Strike first? That isn't what we built this sanctuary for. We're a refuge, not a rebellion." Elena stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "I know. But a sanctuary that can be burned down at any moment isn't safe. If Silas can reach into our homes, our lives, our hearts, then we're already exposed. We can't keep waiting for his knife. We have to break it before it cuts us." The sanctuary murmured, torn between fear and resolve. Then Mia spoke, her voice steady though her hands trembled. "He's not invincible. Tonight proved it. He let me go because Elena cornered him. He can bleed. And if he can bleed, he can break." Elena's chest tightened. Mia, after everything, was standing beside her again. Adrian unfurled a map across the table. "We know his patterns. His safe houses. His followers. We cut off his supply lines of fear, one by one, until he's isolated." Seraphine whispered, "And then?" Elena's eyes burned with fire. "And then we unmask him. Once and for all." The sanctuary leaned closer, their fear slowly hardening into resolve. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. A storm was coming, one that would decide everything. And for the first time, Elena wasn't running from it. She was walking straight into it. The storm outside raged like a mirror of what was about to unfold. Lightning flashed over the city, rain hammering the streets, as Elena led the sanctuary through the night. They moved in silence, cloaked not in costumes but in purpose. The abandoned theater downtown, once a place of glamour, now a ruin of cracked plaster and broken chandeliers, was where Silas had chosen to make his stand. Word had spread. He'd summoned his followers there, promising to reveal the final truth. But Elena had summoned hers too. Inside, the theater's stage glowed with pale light. Silas stood at the center, his white mask gleaming, cracked lines running like veins across it. Around him, a ring of loyal masked figures waited, silent and watchful. As Elena and her people entered, the air thickened with tension. For a moment, no one moved. Two forces, two visions, staring each other down. Silas raised his arms, his voice booming. At last, the sanctuary arrives to witness the end of its own illusion. Tonight, I unmask you all. No more hiding, no more games. Truth will burn away your lies. Elena stepped forward, rainwater dripping from her crimson gown. Her voice cut through the cavernous hall. No, Silas. Tonight isn't about unmasking us. It's about unmasking you. Gasps rippled through both groups. Silas tilted his head, amused. Bold words from a pretender. Elena took a deep breath, her voice trembling but rising. You call us pretenders because we live between masks. But masks aren't lies, they're shields. Tools we use until the world is ready to see us whole. You want to turn those shields into chains. You don't protect us, you feed on our fear. She turned to the crowd, hers and his. Look at him. He claims power, but it isn't his. It's yours. Every threat he makes only works because you believe it. Stop believing, and he has nothing. A murmur of defiance stirred in the theater. Some of Silas's followers shifted uneasily, glancing at one another. Silas's voice sharpened. Enough. Words don't break chains. Fear does. He raised a device in his hand, a sleek black drive, pulsing with light. Every secret, every name, all here. With one command, it spreads across the city. The sanctuary cried out in alarm, but Elena's eyes locked on the drive. She stepped forward, fire in her chest. Then do it. Press it. Expose us all. Because I'm done being afraid. The room froze. Silas faltered, finger hovering. Elena's voice rose, fierce. Go on. Show them. But when you do, remember, you'll destroy yourself too. No followers. No control. Just another man hiding behind a mask because he's too afraid to show who he really is. Her words hit like a strike. The room shifted, fear cracking, courage rising. Even Silas's followers began to step back, whispering. Unmask yourself, Elena said, her voice ringing. Or admit you've already lost. For the first time, Silas trembled. Then, with a roar, he hurled the drive to the ground. It shattered, sparks flying, secrets lost in a burst of static. The sanctuary erupted not in panic, but in cheers. The chains were broken. Adrian and Seraphine surged forward, seizing Silas as his followers fled into the storm. His mask cracked fully, falling to the floor, revealing not a monster but an ordinary man, tired, bitter, powerless. Elena stepped onto the stage, picking up the broken mask. She held it high. This is what fear looks like. And tonight, we will end it. The theater shook with applause, voices rising like thunder. For the first time, the sanctuary wasn't hiding, it was standing. And in the middle of it all, Elena felt the fire inside her steady into something new. Not just survival. Not just defiance. Leadership. The storm outside raged on, but inside, the sanctuary had found its light. And Elena knew this was only the beginning of the life she was meant to live. Weeks later, the warehouse was alive again, but different. No longer just a hiding place, it had become a true community. Art on the walls. Music in the air. People laugh without fear. Mia stood at the edge one night, watching quietly. She wasn't part of it anymore. Not fully, but when her eyes met Elena's, there was no anger. Only bittersweet pride. You did it, Mia said softly. No, Elena replied, smiling faintly. We did. All of us. Mia touched her hand briefly, then stepped back, leaving Elena with the sanctuary that now looked to her as its heart. Adrian approached, clapping her on the shoulder. So, leader, what's next? Elena gazed around at the people, her people, alive with hope. For once, the answer came easily. Whatever we want. No masks, no fear, just us. The sanctuary erupted into cheers again, and Elena let herself finally feel it, not fear, not burden, but belonging. The storm had passed, and a new dawn was hers.